Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a soft-spoken / whispered reading of 3 of my favourite childhood stories, which are Rumpelstiltskin, the Elves and the Shoemaker, and the Enormous Turnip. So I hope you enjoy. I'm going to start with Rumpelstiltskin. There was once a miller who was poor, but he had one beautiful daughter. It happened one day that he came to speak with the king, and to give himself consequence, he told him that he had a daughter who could spin gold out of straw. The king said to the miller, "That is an art that pleases me well. If thy daughter is as clever as you say, bring her to my castle tomorrow, that I may put her to the proof." When the girl was brought to him, he led her into a room that was quite full of straw, and gave her a wheel and spindle, and said, "Now set to work, and if by the early morning thou hast not spun this straw to gold, thou shalt die." And he shut the door himself, and left her there alone. And so the poor miller's daughter was left there sitting, and could not think what to do for her life. She had no notion how to set to work to spin gold from straw, and her distress grew so great that she began to weep. Then all at once the door opened, and in came a little man who said, "Good evening, miller's daughter. Why are you crying?" "Oh," answered the girl, "I have got to spin gold out of straw, and I don't understand the business." Then the little man said, "What will you give me if I spin it for you?" "My necklace," said the girl. The little man took the necklace, seated himself before the wheel, and whir, whir, whir. 3 times round the bobbin was full. Then he took up another, and whir, whir, whir. 3 times round, and that was full. And so he went on till the morning, when all the straw had been spun, and all the bobbins were full of gold. At sunrise came the king, and when he saw the gold, he was astonished and very much rejoiced, for he was very avaricious. He had the miller's daughter taken into another room filled with straw, much bigger than the last, and told her that as she valued her life, she must spin it all in one night. The girl did not know what to do, so she began to cry, and then the door opened, and the little man appeared and said, "What will you give me if I spin all the straw into gold?" "The ring from my finger," answered the girl. So the little man took the ring, and began again to send the wheel whirring round, and by the next morning all the straw was spun into glistening gold. The king was rejoiced beyond measure at the sight, but as he could never have enough of gold, he had the miller's daughter taken into a still larger room full of straw, and said, "This too must be spun in one night, and if you accomplish it, you shall be my wife." For he thought, although she is but a miller's daughter, I'm not likely to find anyone richer in the whole world. As soon as the girl was left alone, the little man appeared for the first time and said, "What will you give me if I spin the straw for you this time?" "I have nothing left to give," answered the girl. "Then you must promise me the first child you have after you are queen," said the little man. "But who knows whether that will happen?" thought the girl, but as she did not know what else to do in her necessity, she promised the little man what he desired, upon which he began to spin until all the straw was gold. And when in the morning the king came and found all done according to his wish, he caused the wedding to be held at once, and the miller's pretty daughter became a queen. In a year's time she brought a fine child into the world, and thought no more of the little man. But one day he came suddenly into her room, and said, "Now give me what you promised me." The queen was terrified greatly, and offered the little man all the riches of the kingdom if he would only leave the child. But the little man said, "No, I would rather have something living than all the treasures of the world." Then the queen began to lament and to weep, so that the little man had pity upon her. "I will give you 3 days," he said, "and if at the end of that time you cannot tell my name, you must give whole night in thinking over all the names that she had ever heard, and sent a messenger through the land to ask far and wide for all the names that could be found. And when the little man came next day, beginning with Casper, Melchior, Balthazar, she repeated all she knew and went through the whole list. But after each, the little man said, "That is not my name." The second day, the queen sent to inquire of all the neighbours that the servants were called, and told the little man all the most unusual and singular names, saying, "Perhaps you're called roast ribs, or sheepshanks, or spindleshanks." But he answered nothing but, "That is not my name." The third day, the messenger came back again, and said, "I have not been able to find one single new name, but as I passed through the woods, I came to a high hill, and near it was a little house, and before the house burned a fire, and around the fire danced a comical little man, and he hopped on one leg and cried, 'Today do I bake, tomorrow I brew, the day after that the queen's child comes in, and oh, I am glad that nobody knew. The name I am called is Rumpelstiltskin.'" You cannot think how pleased the queen was to hear that name. Soon afterwards, when the little man walked in and said, "Now, Mrs. Queen, what is my name?" She said at first, "Are you called Jack?" "No," answered he. "Are you called Harry?" she asked again. "No," answered he. And then she said, "Then perhaps your name is Rumpelstiltskin." "The devil told you that, the devil told you that," cried the little man, and in his anger he stamped with his right foot so hard that it went into the ground above his knee. Then he seized his left foot with both his hands in such a fury that he split in two, and there was an end of him. The end. I really love that story. In primary school, we actually did Rumpelstiltskin as a production, which was really fun. I was a dancer, though I didn't have an acting role or speaking role. Okay, the next story is The Elves and the Shoemaker. This is a shorter story, but I really love this one. The Elves and the Shoemaker. There was once a shoemaker who worked very hard and was very honest. Still, he could not earn enough to live upon, and at last all he had in the world was gone, save just leather enough to make one pair of shoes. Then he cut his leather out, all ready to make up the next day, meaning to rise early in the morning to his work. His conscience was clear and his heart light amidst all his troubles, so he went peaceably to bed, left all his cares to heaven, and soon fell asleep. In the morning, after he had said his prayers, he sat himself down to his work, when to his great wonder there stood the shoes already made upon the table. The good man knew not what to say or think at such an odd thing happening. He looked at the workmanship. There was not one false stitch in the whole job. All was so neat and true that it was quite a masterpiece. The same day a customer came in, and the shoes suited him so well that he willingly paid a price higher than usual for them. The poor shoemaker with the money bought leather enough to make 2 pairs more. In the evening he got out the work and went to bed early, that he might get up and begin the next day, but he was saved all the trouble, for when he got up in the morning the work was done ready to his hand. Soon an came by who paid him handsomely for his goods, so that he bought leather enough for 4 pair more. He got out the work again overnight and found it done in the morning as before. So it went on for some time. What was got ready in the evening was always done by daybreak, and the good man soon became thriving and well off. One evening about Christmas time, as he and his wife were sitting over the fire chatting together, he said to her, "I should like to sit up and watch tonight, so that we may see who it is that comes and does my work for me." The wife liked the thought, so they left a light burning, hid themselves in a corner of the room behind a curtain that was hung up there, and watched what would happen. As soon as it was midnight, there came 2 little elves, and they sat themselves upon the shoemaker's bench, took up all the work that was cut out and began to ply with their little fingers, stitching and wrapping and tapping away at such a rate that the shoemaker was all wonder and could not take his eyes off them. And on they went, till the job was quite done and the shoes stood ready for use upon the table. This was long before daybreak, and they bustled away as quick as lightning. The next day the wife said to the shoemaker, "These little wights have made us rich, and we ought to be thankful to them, and do them a good turn if we can. I am quite sorry to see them run about as they do, and indeed it's not very decent, for they have nothing upon their backs to keep off the cold. I'll tell you what, I will make each of them a shirt, coat, waistcoat, and pair of pantaloons, and you make each of them a little pair of shoes." The thought pleased the good cobbler very much, and one evening when all the things were ready, they laid them on the table, instead of the work that they used to cut out, and then went and hid themselves to watch what the little elves would do. About midnight in they came, dancing and skipping, hopped round the room, and then went to sit down to their work as usual. But when they saw the clothes lying for them, they laughed and chuckled and seemed mightily delighted. Then they dressed themselves in the twinkling of an eye, and danced and capered and sprang about as merry as could be, till at last they danced out the door and away over the green. The good couple saw them no more, but everything went well with them from that time forward, as long as they lived. That one is a really lovely story. I've read actually a different version of that. I had a version where the elves and the shoemaker actually ended up working together. They ended up living with the shoemaker and his wife. So yeah, I guess especially Grimm's stories, they change over time quite a lot. Okay, the final story. This one is a really fun one. It's for much younger children, but I still love it so much. It's called The Enormous Turnip. Once there was a family who lived together in a wee house. An old man, an old woman, their grandchildren, a dog, a cat, and a timid mouse. The house had a garden, so wonderful and green, where the old man grew vegetables, the best you've ever seen. One day he decided to plant a turnip seed, so he went to his shed to get the things he would need, a rake and a hoe and his gardening gloves. Then he went to the garden, a place that he loves. Carrots and radishes already grew there, so he planted the turnip seed. Can you guess where? In a patch of ground that was sunny and bright, and sheltered from the frost that comes during the night. He watered the seed with his watering can, then waited for it to grow, that gardening old man. And grow it did, that turnip seed, under the ground at an incredible speed. Soon bigger than an apple it grew, then the size of a football, then the size of two. The turnip got bigger with each passing day. How much would it grow? Nobody could say. It grew from big into huge, and then enormous into it became. Never in history had there been a turnip quite the same. At last it was ready to pull out and eat. We'll go into a soup, a delicious, tasty treat. The old man took hold of the turnip stem, as he knew he should, and then he pulled as hard as he could. The old man heaved and heaved, he really tried, but the turnip wouldn't budge. "It's enormous," he cried. He had never seen such a giant turnip in his life. He couldn't pull it by himself, so he called to his wife, my dear, please help me to pull out this turnip so we can eat it for tea." "How can I help?" she asked the old man. "When I pull the turnip, you pull me as hard as you can." So she put her arms around him and pulled as hard as she could, while the old man pulled the turnip, but it was no good. They heaved and heaved, they really tried, but the turnip wouldn't budge. "It's enormous," they cried. The old woman called to her granddaughter, "Please help me to pull out this turnip so we can eat it for tea." "How can I help?" asked the girl to her nanny. "When I pull your grandfather, you pull me as hard as you can." So she put her arms around the old woman and pulled as hard as she could, while the old woman pulled the old man and the old man pulled the turnip, but it it was no good. They heaved and heaved, they really tried, but the turnip wouldn't budge. It's enormous, they cried. The girl called to her brother, please help me to pull up this turnip so we can eat it for tea. How can I help? Asked the boy as he ran. When I pull Nanny, you pull me it as hard as you can. So he put his arms around the girl and pulled as hard as he could, while the girl pulled the old woman, and the old woman pulled the old man, and the old man pulled the turnip. But it was no good. They heaved and heaved, they really tried, but the turnip wouldn't budge. It's enormous, they cried. The boy called to the dog, please help me to pull out this turnip so we can eat it for tea. Woof, how can I help? Asked the dog, munching his scran. When I pull my sister, you pull me as hard as you can. So the dog took hold of the boy's shirt and pulled as hard as he could, while the boy pulled the girl, and the girl pulled the old woman, and the old woman pulled the old man, and the old man pulled the turnip, but it was no good. They heaved and heaved, they really tried, but the turnip wouldn't budge. It's enormous, they cried. The dog called to the cat, Woof, please help me to pull out this turnip so we can eat it for tea. Meow, how can I help? Asked the cat, sipping milk from a pan. When I pulled the boy, you pull me as hard as you can. So the cat put her paws around the dog's tail, and she pulled as hard as she could, while the dog pulled the boy, and the boy pulled the girl, and the girl pulled the old woman, and the old woman pulled the old man, and the old man pulled the turnip, but it was no good. They heaved and heaved, they really tried, but the turnip wouldn't budge. It's enormous, they cried. Can I help? Said a voice near the house. Who was that? They all asked. It was the wee mouse. She had been watching from her hole in the wall. She was so tiny and not strong at all. How can you help? Sneered the cat, looking at the rest. Well, said the mouse, I will do my best. So the mouse put her feet around the cat's tail and pulled as hard as she could, while the cat pulled the dog, and the dog pulled the boy, and the boy pulled the girl, and the girl pulled the old woman, and the old woman pulled the old man, and the old man pulled the turnip. And this time it was good. They heaved and heaved, they really tried. This time the turnip came out. Hooray, they cried. The old man fell back and knocked over the old woman. The old woman fell back and knocked over the girl. The girl fell back and knocked over the boy. The boy fell back and knocked over the dog. The dog fell back and knocked over the cat. The cat fell back and knocked over the mouse. But then they stood up and looked at the turnip they'd pulled out. Wow, it's absolutely enormous, they all said with a shout, and so that evening they ate it for tea, in a vegetable soup as tasty as can be. The turnip was enormous, it lasted for weeks, so everything they ate it with neeps. The dog and cat had their share too, as did the mouse, who had done the best she could do. She made a difference despite being so small. Perhaps without her they couldn't have pulled out the turnip at all. That was a sweet